In this video, we're going to be going over our updated 2026 review generating guide for Google Business Profiles. Today, specifically, we're going to be going over and covering everything from how many reviews you actually need to rank on your Google Business Profile, regular reviewers versus local guides, which we're going to talk about and show you how to level up, the keywords used in reviews, how to make leaving a review as easy as possible for customers, how to get your technicians also to actively hunt down reviews and not just casually ask for them, our 7 black hat methods to get more Google Business Profile reviews, which I'm very excited about, and how to get reviews reinstated to your profile after Google has actually removed them. This exact review system has doubled, tripled, and even quadrupled the review velocity on our clients' GBPs. Follow these exact steps to start crushing your competition in the map pack. Let's dive in. There is no universal number of reviews that every Google Business Profile needs because review velocity is completely dependent on the niche and the market you're trying to rank in. If you're a plumber in a small town without a ton of competition, maybe one solid 5-star review a week is going to keep you moving and actually get you guys ranking. However, like we have pulled up here, if you're an HVAC company out in San Diego, things are going to be looking completely different, okay? Look at the companies around you that are already ranking. Compare your total reviews, the recent reviews, and how consistently top companies are getting reviews compared to you. That is the pace that your market is actually moving and the target you have to hit. Whatever you do, don't pick some random number on the internet and make that your goal. You have to look at your existing market. Look at the profiles you're actually trying to outrank and build the target specifically from there. All right, quick pause for just a second. So we work with dozens of home service companies every single month to drive hundreds of qualified calls to their Google Business Profile and through organic search to their websites. If you want an audit and a breakdown, like some of what I'm going to do on these profiles here, book a time below at the first link in the description. Now, back to the video. Next up, let's talk about who's actually leaving the reviews, because not every Google account looks the same. You've got regular users, and then you've got local guides who are much more active across Google Maps, oftentimes leaving reviews, uploading photos, answering questions, and making edits to Google Business Profiles as well, which we'll probably just touch on later. It's more of an advanced concept. So let's take a look at this generic profile right here. Christine went by and left a review about 17 hours ago. She's not a local guide, but if we scroll down, we find Jan here. She is a local guide. And I started looking into her profile a little bit, and Jan's a level 5 local guide. Done about 25 reviews. I don't think she's posted many photos, just one over here. And basically, you can level up a local guide account after you apply for one by interacting with Google Maps a whole lot more. And when I audit profiles, I pay very, very close attention to who actually has local guide reviews on the profile, because Google sees these guys as much more authoritative figures, okay? It's very important to try and get as many local guide reviews as you can on a Google Business Profile, okay? Now, obviously, you can't always target these people in Google Maps for searches, and you can't run PPC campaigns on them specifically, but it is something you can kind of watch out for. And later on, we can talk about how you could possibly incentivize customers to leave you better reviews. This is something we try and do with local guides every now and then with clients, but it can be a little bit trickier to finesse that relationship, obviously. So, really, I just wanted to point out that these things do exist. As a business owner, you can actually get your own local guide account and try and level it up. And that can help sometimes by exchanging reviews with other business owners, which, again, we'll talk about that later. But I just kind of want to bring it up and riff on it with you guys for a minute, because it's a common question that we usually get. So next up, I want to take a look at what's actually written inside some of these reviews, because a naked 5-star review basically says nothing and is completely different than somebody actually talking about the technician, the service, the problem they had fixed, and ideally the location that they were serviced in. Let's take a look here. So again, we're just going to scroll through these guys' reviews here, and we can just kind of start taking a look. So technicians explain issues with quieter homes issues. They plan to rectify AC as a result. Better AC. Now we're having the heat. Okay, not too many keywords there. Before I start going through and reading more of these, let's go all the way to the top. And usually the Google Business Profile will pull out what the keywords that they're actually pulling out of the reviews are. So we can just scroll through this here. See garbage disposal replacement, mentioned 80 in 82 reviews. Water heater replacement, 106, right? Thorough inspection, tankless water heaters, probably pretty good. So, and you can also like use this data to start putting it on your Google Business Profile, your description to optimize it. And you can also extract this information and put it onto your website for all the services that you explicitly mention and talk about. Again, Local SEO content is all about making sure it's scoped to the location, the local location, right? Not the macro location, and using the keywords people are actually searching for and talking about, okay? This is a great indication here. And as you scroll through, you can start to see some of these words actually show up in some of these reviews. Again, this is a naked 5-star review, not as helpful. These ones are a little bit thinner here, but sometimes, unfortunately, if they did catch that 1-star right in the face, sometimes you do get a pretty detailed review where they actually come in and they talk about the services and they mention those keywords specifically. I think I saw a toilet right there, which is pretty good. Obviously plumbing related. Technician Juan, very knowledgeable. Repaired the toilet that was needing service. Not bad. A lot of these, I'd like to see them mention like the location in here as well of where they serviced. And sometimes you could actually coach your customers on how to leave reviews, which we're going to talk about again later in this video in the black hat methods, which is super, super, super helpful. But overall, these don't look super keyword stuffed, so I think they could be doing a little bit better job nurturing some of those. Yes, they do all have 5-star ratings, and it's definitely helping the Google business profile. As you can see, we've scrolled quite a ways here, and we've only had, edited or added 2 days ago, right? So they are getting quite a few, but you can try and nurture these relationships a little bit more and try and get these guys to put in some keywords with their 5-star reviews, and it can go a huge, huge way. And just, again, you can scroll to the very top and see what keywords you should be trying to stuff into the profiles and these reviews, because you can just look through and see what people are already really happy about with the service, right? These are the keywords we need to be targeting in reviews, on page, Google business profile optimizations, basically everywhere. And you can start to slowly influence what these words are in the reviews. And as a bonus, again, try and make sure they mention the city and the neighborhood, okay? It gives the review so much more context than just 3 generic words or, God forbid, no words at all, and it's just a simple 5-star review. Yes, they still are helpful, but they're not nearly as helpful as one that's chock full of a whole bunch of keywords from real customers, okay? We want to see the actual service language that's built into those reviews used in there. And that's going to show Google you guys are much more locally relevant, locally trusted by actual people who have actually purchased the service from you guys. Now, the easiest review strategy tweak in this entire video is also probably the least exciting, okay? All we're trying to do here is remove every bit of friction between a happy customer and them actually leaving a review. So if your technician has to explain 6 different steps and try and log someone into a Google account to actually get them to leave you a Google review, it's going to add a lot of friction, right? So what you can do is you can actually go into your profile, super simple here, open up Read Reviews, you click Get More Reviews, and you have 2 things you can pick from here. You have a review link and a QR code, okay? A lot more people are used to seeing QR codes these days, so you actually can carry these around. You can even put them on key fobs with RFID cards, which is really, really cool. So your technicians can have some kind of card where people just tap their phone and then the review widget actually pops up to leave the review, okay? All we're trying to do is just limit the friction, right? We can text this to them, we can email it to them, we can even automate this after like the CRM closes out the job, for example, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. Basically, we just need to eliminate the friction around this, right? And we are going to try and get them to avoid having to Google the company, look it up, find the review link, hunt for it, and then think of a review, okay? This is just going to simplify the steps a lot more for them. Another key issue that we see when it comes to review generation is a lot of companies just don't really have some sort of review process. They just really hope that their technicians remember to ask, and then they just hope for the best. And a lot of the times the tech is just going to finish the job. They're cleaning up everything. They've got another appointment that they're probably already 5 minutes late for, and asking for the review feels a little bit awkward. So they just kind of end up going without it, right? The best time to ask for a review is actually when the job is finishing up and the customer is happy with the work. Not to mention, they're also held hostage there as you finish up paperwork, explain the job, take photos, and kind of walk them through what the scope of the work was actually done, right? And you're just standing there with them. During that time, you can pull out the QR code and the link, text it to them, and ask for a review. Now, another trick is through automating with the CRM. What you can do is as soon as the job is finished, the CRM can automatically go and message that client with the review link, making sure obviously and filtering out if they actually had a good experience with you. Usually we see best results with this automation when we actually text some sort of question first, saying something along the lines of, hey, how is the job? Are you guys happy with the service, right? How is Juan today when you stop by for the HVAC maintenance, right? And then if they respond positively, then the automation can actually go out and send the review link. Okay. We don't just want to be farming any kind of reviews because that's a good way to catch extra 1 and 2 star reviews in the profile. You want to make sure you're actually automating this smart, right? And you're only sending a link after you find a happy customer to actually follow up with. That way we pay attention to who we actually need to be sending review links to and not just capturing any kind of review out there. Now we're going to start breaking into what you guys have all come here for the video for, and that is the black hat review generation. These tricks are what we use on some of our profiles, what we see used on client profiles, agency-owned assets, and basically any kind of GBP under the sun that we've consulted for in the past. The methods I'm about to talk to you about, and I'm going to outline in this video, I'm going to be very, very clear here. I do not recommend using, and I do not condone and would strongly advise against using any of the systems on any Google business profile I'm about to talk about, okay? I take zero responsibility for any suspended profiles here. This is just open information on the internet, and I'm just a guy with a microphone, okay? Now, that being said, these are extremely effective at helping rank Google business profiles, and we've used them across dozens of campaigns for clients in the past, and they are extremely effective. Some are going to be much more aggressive and black hat than others. Some are going to be a little bit more vanilla, and I'll leave you to decide which ones you guys want to use for your own profiles. So starting off, here we go. Now, first off, obviously asking family and friends, and this should be no surprise, especially when you have a new Google business profile, because when you get new profiles, one, they're hard to stick reviews to. Two, you're usually a new business, so it's kind of hard to get these reviews going anyways. And as we know, reviews are always the lifeblood of profiles, and without any lifeblood going into a new profile, you're kind of screwed. So ask family and friends. Usually when we take on a new Google business profile, we can usually scrounge up anywhere from 10 to 20 reviews for this pretty quick. Now, I do want to mention though, as soon as you have a new Google business profile, whether you verified it correctly or if it's black hat, whatever, these things need to bake, okay? I wouldn't be adding a review to a Google business profile that's new for at least, I'm going to say about 2.5 to 3 weeks. As of right now, and this is August of 2026. Any reviews that are usually added too soon and before that timeline, you're just risking a profile suspension. Very, very rarely do we actually see the first reviews even stick to these new profiles, even from family and friends. Usually what you have to do is then go get the reviews reinstated and go through the whole application process, which I'm going to talk about in about 10 minutes here on the video, so stay tuned for that. But long story short, this is a pretty, I would say, albeit white hat way to get more reviews in the profile. You can even offer some sort of very simple service to your friends and family if you guys feel a little bit shady about it. But it's a great way to jumpstart and kind of fulfill some review generation on profiles when you need it most, like maybe on the off season or for a new profile. Now, second is free inspections for reviews. Again, very, very scrappy way of doing things. And in the very beginning, when you really, really need reviews and you have lots of time on your hand and the phone's just not ringing, we've known quite a few operators that go door to door offering free inspections on HVAC, sewer systems, right? If you're scoping, if anyone's got like sprinklers that need blowing out for the year, right? Very, very, very easy way to start getting all these 5-star reviews in the profile. Free inspections or very, very simple type work that's just kind of in and out. You can usually rack up a ton of 5-star reviews for this. We've seen this work all across different industries. And again, it can really help jumpstart those early on profiles or even supplement some of those times when leads just start coming in, like in the winter. So free inspections and just offering little tiny bits of free work to maybe friends and family, but also just the general public can be a really great way to stack more 5-star reviews. All right, third and one of my most favorite techniques is tipping your technicians, okay? A lot of technicians, it's like pulling teeth asking for reviews, right? It's kind of awkward. They're already late for the next job. They want to get back in the truck or the van. Maybe it's the end of the day. Maybe it's after a long week, right? And without some sort of real incentive, unless you have all the employees bought into the vision and the mission of the business, which, let's be frank, never happens, right? You need to incentivize the technicians through some other means, and usually that comes through tipping. And we've seen this work by giving technicians anywhere from $10 to $30 to even $40 or $50 for a 5-star review. This is extremely effective, and it kind of gamifies the situation, right? These technicians could easily add thousands of dollars a year to their salary just by you offering this little tipping mechanism to the technicians to actually go ask for these 5-star reviews. And one pushback I get from some of our business owners and our clients sometimes is, well, isn't that expensive? Well, yeah, but so is losing in the map pack, right? I think across all the domains and multitudes of categories and types of businesses we've worked with, I would put a 5-star review probably ranked and priced at about $50 to $60 in most cases. And if you're in a tier one market like San Diego right here, forget about it. They're probably worth 80, 90, maybe even $100 for a good 5-star review. So yes, I think it is worth it. We have seen extreme success with this in the past. And then payout is cash, right? At the end of the week. Get your technicians fed, get them hungry, right? Get them trying to chase these reviews. And that should be more than enough incentive to actually get these guys pushing and asking for more reviews. Fourth, and one of my other favorite ways to get more 5-star reviews is offering the client future discounts. So, say at checkout, they're kind of balking. They don't want to log into their Google account. They don't have a Google account or something. They don't want to go get their phone right now. They're in a rush or something. Well, if you have any kind of maintenance contracts, or you know you're going to be coming back and servicing this area and this client again, what you can do is just knock off a percentage of the next invoice for them for the next service. Luckily, this works really, really well in like maintenance type and recurring services. So like HVAC and pest control, this works extremely well in. And you just offer a little 5% discount off the next invoice if they prove they actually landed a 5-star review on the profile. Simple little trick, kind of helps incentivize in case your technicians are pushing really hard for a review. They can't quite close the deal for it. So food for thought there. We found this to be really successful, and just another little tip. Now, number 5 is one of the sneakiest ways that we've gotten more Google Business reviews on profiles. And it's extracting more reviews out of one job. So if you have hyper aggressive technicians and you actually followed along with tip number 3, and now you've actually incentivized those guys out there to go after more reviews and then get tipped for them on the back end, now they're going to be hungry. And what you can do in some cases is, you can interface with the homeowner, right? Say you're talking to the wife out there and you're finishing up the pest control on the lawn or something, and you're sending them on the way, you ask for a 5-star and she gives you one, okay? What you can do is then just farm it more aggressively. And we've known some technicians that even pay back these bonuses to the clients themselves because it's a win-win situation for everyone, right? So they get half the tipping bonus that the technician gets, the client gets a little kickback, and you can just aggressively farm these things. This works best with teenagers and younger people, like in college, is really, really helpful because they just have such a vast network and anyone's going to be out there for a quick buck, right? So usually you can scale through those networks and you can try and actually farm some of these reviews. Obviously, make sure it's legit, make sure they actually did some sort of work for them. But if you show up to like a frat house or something and you pressure wash the building or something like that, you can bet that you're about to get like 25-star reviews, right? So you can kind of gamify the system a little bit and actually scale through the entire job and not just stop the homeowner or the one paying the bills, but try and scale through every profile that you can possibly extract out of that. You would be shocked at how many 5-star reviews you can actually extract from one job using this method. Now, 6th, and this is pretty obvious, but I actually don't see many business owners using it these days, and it's trading reviews with other business owners and suppliers. 9 times out of 10, I would say 10 times out of 10, everyone has some sort of commercial supplier that they're using, right? Usually it's some sort of local brand. They get giant discounts on chemicals or supplies or something. And you guys probably see each other once every 2 weeks on the dock for drop-offs, right? And if you got a great relationship with each other, just trade reviews. Now, this isn't going to get you dozens and dozens of reviews on the Google Business Profile, but it can help you, again, in times of a lull when it's off season, or if you've got new profiles you're trying to stand up in new competitive locations, right? Even if you're an established brand, say you've been in business for 10 years, as you begin actually expanding your Google Business Profile presence, you're going to need to get these new reviews. And a lot of these tricks can be used to filter in 5, 10, 15, 20 reviews sometimes on these new profiles to actually get them to take root. So business owners, friends, other suppliers, basically any B2B relationship that you have, you can leverage for another review and just trade them back and forth. Win-win. Now, of course, I saved the best for last. So this is the 7th tip, and this is by far the dirtiest, nastiest tip I have ever come across for Google Business Profile review farming. So I knew of a company that did this for a summer, and they basically ran a contest on a rather high ticket item. I think the entire ticket was probably close to about $1,000. And to enter, you had to leave a 5-star review on the profile. Now, they did not service these guys at all. It was completely against terms of service, but It worked like you wouldn't believe. I think these guys went from about 50 reviews in their profile all the way up to about 350 reviews, I think in about the span of like a month and a half. And of course, you should see their scans. I gotta go dig them up and do a breakdown of it sometime. Their scan went through the roof. They were in a tier one study for a pretty competitive niche, and they just completely destroyed the market with this one. And they had such strong review velocity after that, and it jump-started their business for that quarter and then the following quarters the rest of the year with that so well that they get more than enough business now to then sustain that review generation from new inbound leads because, hey, they rank better on Google Maps, okay? Highly aggressive. I can't quite say that we would suggest you do this on your profile because it looks very, very suspicious. You should see the review velocity. They were getting about maybe 1 to 2 a month before this. And after the summer, it just shot up straight through the roof. And it did work, but it is also a very, very aggressive strategy you need to be very careful with. If I had to bet, I think those guys did get a little bit lucky implementing that, but it was one of the craziest success stories we've ever seen across local SEO in all of our campaigns. So maybe you can run it on a little bit smaller scale. Maybe just kind of limit it to maybe a few dozen reviews, or maybe, depending on your review velocity, right? If you're already getting about 20 to 30 5-star reviews a month, maybe you go crazy, right? You can actually supplement quite a bit on top of that. If you're only getting about 1 review a week, you got to pump the brakes a little bit, right? Each one of these tips can be used to incredibly increase the review velocity on profiles, and not to mention your rankings, but you have to have the judgment of to exactly when you use these things, right? You got to use them with some taste and judgment and not use them on profiles that aren't warmed up and not ready quite yet, and make sure they're actually fully baked before you go super hard on review generation. Now, the last thing I want to cover just really quick is getting reviews back when they disappear, because this is just bound to happen, especially on new profiles. Google just doesn't really trust you yet, and it takes a long time for those reviews actually to stick consistently. Usually what you see is someone left a review, and then you check the profile later, and it's just gone. There's no explanation. Now, when that happens, and not if that happens, because this is bound to happen, go through Google support and just give them as much legitimate information about the review as you possibly can. Who the person was, the job, the service. Ideally, if you have some job photos too, that can go a long way. Invoice records, service notes, who is even there on the job. And that's going to help build a lot more credibility around the review that they thought was fake, right? So once you have to open up the support request, keep that case number, because what's going to happen now is we need to follow up again and again and again and again, okay? Literally, just keep submitting support tickets and reference the original support ticket number over there every single time. That way, ideally, you're not starting from zero. From what we've seen, usually this seems to be kind of a lottery system with the back end on Google. We have no idea why, but every single time we submit a ticket, it's more or less just kind of a lottery system. We have no rhyme or reason or any kind of timeline of when they do or don't get reinstated. It just seems kind of random. But if you actually keep hammering them over and over again, we've seen great success. Usually, believe it or not, we can actually recover upwards of 70 to 80% of the reviews for all of our clients that have actually been lost off Google Business profiles. It just seems to take a lot of time and consistency, and as long as you keep referencing that first case number over and over again and just hammering them, usually you will get through to them and you can actually reinstate those reviews. So obviously reviews are still king in 2026, but simply just chasing the biggest number on the map pack is way too basic, right? We know that review velocity is where it's at these days, and you need to aggressively seek ways to get more 5-star reviews in the profile to keep up with everyone that's now starting to use some of these more aggressive techniques. These tactics that we talked about today are highly aggressive, and they can work when used in moderation. With strong operational systems and gathering legitimate 5-star reviews alongside these more black hat methods, your Google Business profile can become absolutely unstoppable. And of course, if you want me to tear apart your Google Business profile and your website and actually show you where you could be ranking better and kind of do a live audit for you guys, there's a link down in the description, okay? We have helped dozens of other home service companies rank higher in maps, which results in more organic calls to their business and significant revenue growth. Book a time below and let's chat. Talk soon.